We're not done yet. How about Rosario White, 6'7", a buck 90 in transition.
Welcome back to Late Night with Stranded Sports. I'm Nick Hedrick. That's Tyler Gallo. That's Tyler Gallo. The sounds you hear in the background is Tyler Gallo's TV, College Hoops fanatic.
Yeah, maybe I should turn that down a little bit. My
Gearing
remote's
up
all the way over there.
for March Madness for this professional production, and as always. But thank you for joining us once again as we get ready to jump into a pretty fun little slate of topics from the past week in sports. Do apologize for the hiatus we've been under for the past couple weeks, but done a lot of cool things, including head-to-head. Finally arrived. Really cool episode, in my opinion. Obviously, a couple of kinks we had to work through, but a very fun start. Before I ask Tyler about his appearance on that show, we're going to run down what we'll be talking about here tonight. We're going to talk about the MLB's horrendous New Jerseys. We talked about that on Stranded in Pittsburgh 2 weeks ago, but it deserves a little more conversation. They're that bad. Court storming in college basketball been a hot topic, and sticking with the college theme, EA College Football 25. Going to talk a little bit about that too, because it's happening. I think the doubt is over. It is happening. A lot of new details about that game in the past few weeks. But anyway, back to what we just brought up a few moments ago. Head-to-head, our first ever trivia show episode went out 2 or 3 weeks ago, and the man in this call with me right now ended up pulling out a hell of a win. Tyler, that's your bread and butter. How was that experience for you? Not acting like it was life-changing, but for you know better than anyone how hard it was to make that come to fruition, and to get the first dub under the belt had to feel pretty good.
Right. We've tried it in the past, a few times. And I mean, it went well the last couple of times we did it. We just weren't able to get consistency with it. Like, we would do it a couple episodes and then just forget about it, or we just couldn't get people to do it. But it was nice to have that one under our belt and get it off under a good way. I was happy that I was able to sort of play to my strengths a little bit and get MLB, because I know Baseball Reference pages pretty well. That's my one. Like, hockey, I could probably do pretty well too, but I think baseball is the one where I'm just like, I need to make sure I get this, so that way I can get the upper hand. But it was good, and I liked the format. I liked it a lot better than the one we tried a couple of years ago, where it was just two guys in the studio buzzing in and trying to. But I think that works a lot better, especially because it gives everybody their own chance to shine. And I think it was a good experience, and it was funny watching John Hanna just get the short end of the stick almost every time. It was good.
As the brainchild behind that, that's good for me to hear. Good for me to hear. Episode 2 of Head to Head, the Stranded Sports official trivia show. 2 or 3 weeks away, I think. Need to find the contestants. I think we got 2. But I've heard some refusals to play with certain people, so that's going to make talent booking a little difficult. But that is on the way. But anyway, we're going to get into tonight's topic, starting with the one that Tyler Gallo texted me right when I told him we were going to be doing an episode tonight. The MLB's New Jerseys, which, unless you live under a rock, you've probably seen some sort of conversation about these, the Fanatics Nike collab, and it's just bad. The names are curved and tiny. We're seeing their balls. I wish there was a better way to say that. If they sit down for promo shoots, you literally see the outline of their crotch. You can see through the pants. It's a disaster. And I made this point a couple weeks ago when we talked about it on Stranded in Pittsburgh. I don't know how to articulate it properly, but I felt like the MLB's jerseys were like the nicest in pro sports. Like, they didn't look too classy, but they looked distinguished in this unique kind of way. And they looked really well made with the stitching and everything. And they just looked good, is really the layman's way of saying it. They looked really good, really classy. And MLB does a pretty good job of keeping the heritage and the history of the sport honored. But this just kind of ruined all of that. These look like DHgate knockoffs. They're bad. But I'm not going to say all of your talking points. This was your topic, so please. Our shows are accustomed to 5-minute spiels, so please, this is your opportunity to finally do that.
That's Ethan Morrison's bread and butter right there, Nick. Well, so I mean,
And
this
we
sort
love
of
him
goes
for it.
back. Yeah, it sort of goes back to like, I mean, the NHL partnered with Fanatics a few years ago, and there's been so many issues on that end. I'm thinking like more recently with the Stadium Series jerseys that just came out. Only the Devils ones though were just impossible to order and impossible to get, and the ones that came were all messed up. But that's not the MLB ones. Oh my goodness, these jerseys! It's like single ply toilet paper these guys are wearing. I mean, like you can see their entire undercarriage, and I don't know, like, and it seems like MLB has doubled down on the release of these jerseys. They're like, yeah, we know they're bad, but we're not going to do anything about it. But yeah, like you said, the photo shoots, like, God, like they turn around, like, and like you said, some of these jerseys, like they were obviously heavier in the past. You know, they were more dense. They looked really nice, especially like I'm thinking of like, you know, nothing like Yankees pinstripes at a night game at Yankee Stadium, or you know the black Mets jerseys they just came out, or even like some of these other, like I remember a few years ago when the Reds had all those heritage like throwback jerseys that were really cool. But now it's just like, what are you guys doing with these jerseys?
Mm-hmm.
Like you can see, like you said, see through them. It almost looks like the letters and numbers are ironed on, and which I think they may be. They
They
just
heat pressed the jerseys.
yeah,
They're gonna fade after 2 washes.
it looks like the Ilya Kovalchuk jersey I got when I was 10. And I remember the NHL used to always give out, or like NFL would always give out the ironed on, like not the sewn on numbers, but the like ironed on ones, and every kid would get them. I think they were so cool. But they'd fade pretty quickly. Yeah, just like what was the thinking behind this? You know, obviously Fanatics has its issues. You know, they're no stranger to issues throughout the sports realm. But man, like they really, really screwed the pooch on these jerseys.
Yeah, and I think another big issue with it all is the fact Fanatics, what the hell kind of accent was that? Fanatics has kind of
Right.
monopolized the sports merchandise realm too. So there's really, I don't know if there's really a way out of this even. I'm not sure exactly what the literature looks like between the agreement with Nike and Fanatics and the MLB, but like you said, the MLB is trying to pretend that there are no issues and the players love them. And then the players are on social media like, hey guys, I spit a loogie and the wind blew it back onto my shirt. Now you can see my whole areola. So it's like, you know, it's an absolute disgrace to these jerseys. And it's a disgrace to the sport. They look like they're a little league team that couldn't get the funding for jerseys. So they just hem-hawed together what they had. It's despicable.
It looks like the team shirts you would get when you play little, like you said, little league when you were younger. You know, we always used to get we always get the team, like the major league team on. I think it was so cool, and it have like, I don't know, like Domino's Pizza as the sponsor on the back, and you thought you were the coolest person ever because you're wearing a major league shirt, but you weren't really. Yeah, I mean, Fanatics. First off, they ruined the trading card genre forever with their. I don't know.
Hurts you. That's personally a big issue for you. So
yeah, no, as someone who collected cards and still, I mean, tries to. I mean, obviously, it's hard to do when you live in a market with no major sports teams, you know, within 3 hours. But like they ruined trading cards, and now they're all of a sudden ruining jerseys for multiple leagues. I'm pretty sure, and I don't know if this is right. I'm gonna have to look this up for a sec. I'm pretty sure the Devils owners are the Fanatics people, because I think they own the Commanders as well. I'm pretty sure. Now don't quote me on that. Okay, no, I guess not. But I thought they had some, or maybe they had a stake in it, and it was just like, man, it's just bad. And these jerseys, I hope are not. I mean, they probably are going to be permanent, but I hope they at least, because it seems like they just blew their budget on like the thread, like just the threading and the stitching of it, because that's it's just bad. Like it is bad, and it's a bad look, and I don't know. It's almost like the cotton uniforms that George Costanza gave to Buck Showalter on Seinfeld. After 3 washes, they shrunk.
Oh man, I forgot about that one.
It's so things with these polyester uniforms. The players can't breathe in them. Yeah, so it's just a big, just a sour start to the season, I think, for Major League Baseball with these, and everybody's making fun of them.
Everyone and their mother making fun of them. Yeah, the trading card thing was bad enough. I just buy cards individually now off
Right.
this one website, and I got a Garrett Cole Team USA Prospects jersey card for like $7, and I'm like, this is fun. I just get exactly what I'm looking for, and I
Right.
pay like $10 after shipping. And if I do a
Like,
little
shout out
better
eBay if you have
financially one month, I can purchase a little more. You know what? I'll be so nice as to even tell you where I've been buying cards from. Not sponsored at all. We are not. This show, especially, is so young and inconsistent right now. This is definitely not a sponsor. I've been going to COMC.
good
COMC.
site, very good site.
That's literally where I've been buying my last few cards from. Graded. You can search whatever. Graded, ungraded, jersey.
They have a lot.
And you can literally just search the player, and then the specifications I just gave it, you can do that. If you're into cards, I highly recommend COMC.
COMC is a great website.
Indeed. What's not great is all of the discourse about banning court storming in college hoops. For a second time this year, we've seen a major fiasco. We saw the Caitlin Clark thing a few weeks ago. Maybe that was a month ago by now. So much happens when you live on social media like me. You kind of get skewed your scale of time.
Yeah.
And now over the weekend, Kyle Filipowski against Wake Forest. In both of those instances, were they maybe at fault a little more than what was led to believe at the beginning? Did Clark run directly into that person and then flop? Did Filipowski go to shove the guy and end up getting his leg kicked out from under him? I'm not here to comment on that nature, but I think regardless of what you make of those two situations, and what I'm about to say, I hope no one takes in this way of me pretending that college kids always haven't been rowdy, because I know people in college have always been a rowdy group, but
Oh, yeah.
this new social media age and stuff, and people running out with their phones, and I think kind of being disrespectful is more I don't want to say accepted, but more prevalent. People are openly disrespectful now, especially college age kids. I think something should be done uh, in terms of making sure everyone's off the field or court before the court storming is allowed. How exactly do you go about enforcing that? I'm not sure, but so many people just need a good smack in the face this day and age. And I sound like a boomer saying something like that, but I mean, it's a matter of time before something really serious does happen and there is a serious injury or serious case of a brawl or something starting. And maybe that's being over dramatic, but I think just the way things are now, there needs to be some sort of method in place where uh, the away team or whatever team loses is off the playing surface before the court storming begins. How do you stop a bunch of hammered college kids from sprinting onto a court with like 3 security guards who aren't making enough money to be doing their job as is? I'm not the guy who should be answering that question. I don't get paid to answer that question. But we've seen the SEC and football bring some pretty harsh financial penalties for storming the field and whatnot under certain circumstances. And I think college basketball especially needs to incorporate something. And again, I'm not taking sides with either of the two major incidents that have happened this year. Just wanted to reiterate that. But I do think this is a good time to have this conversation because I think it is something that needs to be done.
Right. And obviously there's two sides to this. Storming the court as a college student is one of the coolest things that you get to do if you're lucky enough to do it during your time there. Obviously, we were able to when Robert Morris won the NEC in 2020. That was really cool.
Even when you storm the court, get sent home, and then 3 weeks later, they're like, the ref had COVID.
The ref had COVID, everybody. Watch out.
We were already sent home, but yeah.
Yeah, that was, and that was like really cool. And, for a small university, getting to play like it's those moments. Now, like, court storming has become a bit saturated in this day and age. Like, obviously, if you beat a big team at home, like, obviously, if let's say, I'm going to just make a random comparison. Let's say Georgia Southern, is hosting, Michigan State. Let's say they come back after they played them this year, and all of a sudden they beat Michigan State at home. That's warranted. But I'm seeing like schools like, obviously Wake Forest beating Duke. That's huge for them. Wake Forest having a pretty solid year, getting a chance to go out there, but like everybody does it against Duke now. It's just crazy. And it's like Duke is good, but like are they deserving to get, stormed the court every single time they lose on the road? I don't know. Because they did it at Georgia Tech. They did it, like I said, at Wake Forest. And I don't think they would do it if it were just a random Duke UNC game. They're not going to storm the court. They know they respect that rivalry enough. I don't know if it happened earlier this year now. Now, I could be completely but I think there are certain times where it's warranted and certain times where it's not. Obviously, let's say, I remember earlier this season, Auburn went to App State and App State beat Auburn. They stormed the court. Perfectly fine. Mid-major beating a Power 5 team. That is great. You can do that. That's big for the school, especially for the Boone community, who really only has Appalachian State to cheer for. But there's certain games where it's just you play these guys every single year. Wake Forest and Duke play each other every single year. You're going to beat them every once in a while. You don't need to storm the court every single time that happens. And there's really just, you got to figure out certain, you got to figure out the tone of the game, really. And yeah, it's a big win. Don't get me wrong. And sure, you may not get another chance to storm the court in your college career, but if you are getting these players hurt, there's a lot. It's just an issue. And now that we've had 2 in the span of a couple months, it's not going to go away.
I think you hit the nail on the head with the oversaturating thing completely. I mean, as you said, you want to have that experience in your college career, but it should mean something. Remember when we stormed the court when, DePaul beat literally anybody that one time and we got to storm the court? Georgia, Wake Forest, excuse me, as you said, they're a conference foe of Duke. Duke wasn't undefeated going into this game. They're finding their identity with John Shire as their head coach. And I know they're still bringing in a incredible number of really good recruits, and beating them is always going to be a big deal, but it's not like Wake Forest blows this year. I'm sorry to say it like that, but it's the truth. It's not like they blow. It's not like Duke was undefeated. It's not like that game clinched anything significant. Sure, it's fun and what the hell, let's do it. But this is unfortunately just one example of the oversaturation of it. I'm not saying this is the most embarrassing. That's far from the case. Beating Duke's a big deal all the time. Like you said, basically, that's just their brand. But I think in general it has become oversaturated. And if it's going to be something that's a more regular occurrence, something definitely needs to be done.
Right.
But anyway,
yeah, they definitely don't need to keep doing it at Wake Forest. You're going to play Duke again, and you're probably going to beat them again at some point.
We're going to move on to another college topic very quickly here. We don't need to hold you too long on this fine evening. EA Sports. College football 25, NCAA 25. No, just college football 25. Heard some pretty exciting news. Every FCS or FBS team, excuse me, is going to be in this game, which was a little up in the air for a while. I think Notre Dame was one of the bigger brands that was rumored to not be in it when the early talks of this game came out. But every FBS team is going to be in it. They're focusing heavily on the tradition side of things and the rivalry side. There have been scans of the trophies for rivalries and whatnot. Playoff NIL going to be in there. Road to Glory is going to be in there. There will be microtransactions, which everyone was worried about, but it's going to be kept at a minimum. Buy 4,000 VC, and your recruit will overlook the Bentley Oklahoma's giving him and still go to Ohio in the MAC. Things of that nature. But anyway, sounds like it's going to be fun on paper. It's the same engine as Madden, which has people worried. But did you know that NCAA 14, your beloved game, was on the same engine as Madden that year? I don't know if you did, but I don't hear many people talk about Madden 25 anymore in high regard. But everyone talks about NCAA 14, and I get that might be because it was the last game for over a decade, but still, it's possible for them to make something good happen with this game engine. I'm ecstatic. I'm not like, I don't think I should call myself a gamer. I play a lot of sports games. I play the big titles like GTA, Red Dead Redemption, whatnot. Right. I'm not going to go tell you this really great indie game that's super slept on and whatnot. But I've been struggling lately when it comes to sports games and whatnot, especially with MLB The Show kind of really just plateauing and now even borderline dropping off over the last 2-3 years. But this could win me back. This could win everyone back. Turning a MAC team into a national powerhouse with some goofy coach that you make that looks like Coach Doug's from the Barstool series there. I mean, that's something we can all get behind. It's going to feel like we're in middle school again. I'm excited. It doesn't sound like if, it sounds like it's when with this game coming out in the near future. So I'm stoked.
Yeah, and 14-year-old me is very happy that the players are going to be in the game, and I don't have to create all the rosters like I used to in NCAA 07. But yeah, I mean, it's great. And, being a small part of it, hearing, all the meetings, obviously I work at an FBS school, and hearing, the stuff that's gone into behind it. Obviously I don't work with the football team, but hearing, they gave up deeper than hate and modern day hate rivalries, which are Georgia State and App State. And, the rivalry games and getting a chance to put it in, I think, they gave in a couple of like rally cries and cheers. That was cool. Paulson Stadium finally going to be accurate in NCAA 25, which apparently it wasn't in NCAA 14, because that was the first year that Georgia Southern was in FBS. But that's cool. And, I had a lot of fun when I was younger playing. I didn't really get any NCAA games beyond 14. And I had 07, I had 14. It was a lot of fun. Playing these rivalry games, I used to always make the rosters for the team because you didn't have the player names in there. Make the rosters and play the rivalry games and hear, Brad Nessler and Lee Corso and Kirk Herbstreit breaking it down for you before the game. It's just a lot of fun. And, people have been waiting for this for a long time. And the fact that all the teams are going to be in it and the players are actually going to be in it as well is huge. And I think that's going to be a big part of why people come to this game, because they're going to get to see the guys they watch, every day or every Saturday, get to play with them. And you weren't able to do that in the past, really. So it's really cool. And the fact that they're, emphasizing traditions, emphasizing rivalries, emphasizing the parts of the programs that are important for college football, that make college football what it is, that's huge. That's huge for this game and huge for the draw as well.
Yeah, encapsulating that environment, that unique vibe that comes with every stadium and the grandeur of all of the big rivalry games and stuff. That's what you want. That's what's going to make this game feel really different from Madden. And I'm so stoked. No more QB number 6. We're getting the real damn deal now. We're ecstatic. We're ecstatic over here, man. There's a lot of ESPN personalities in the game too. Mostly, I think everyone that Gallo mentioned, and then more. And I'm just so ready. I'm so ready for this game. Sports games should be fun. And I hope Madden maybe steps up their game this year, because Madden is one of the laziest titles every year. And I know it's easy to do, but I mean, look at NBA. Of the major 4 sports, I probably follow NBA the least. And that is arguably the most fun sports game for me. I'm an offline person. I don't do ultimate team kind of modes really. They literally have my league. You can edit how the whole league is run. And it's very simple. You can player
really
lock
cool.
to someone if you want to. You can add, remove teams. You can change up formats a bit. It's super straightforward. It's really simple stuff. You do something on Madden and it's clunky. It loads slow. You can't do even probably a third of what you can do in my league in terms of getting immersed in your own little football world. It's very straightforward. You can't even do a career as a backup quarterback because it does the thing where it pretends you're the starter, even though you're just leveling up and going to take over for some old hag quarterback. I tried to replace Ryan Tannehill, and I got cut by week 6 because they said I wasn't playing well enough. I was third string. I wasn't even over Will Levis yet. And they're like, you need 2 touchdowns, or you're going to get cut. And then I was like, how do you want me to achieve that? I turned off instant starter. But no, it's simple things. And I hope EA College Football 25 does those simple things right, because we're at an age in sports games where even the simple things are going to go a super long way.
Right.
Super long way.
I always found it kind of crazy that in NCAA 07, they were able to say some players' names when you made them. Which was weird to me. Like common names or, good players like Darren McFadden, who I think was the highest overall rated player. Actually, I think Brian Brome at Louisville was the highest rated player in that game. But like guys like that, they were able to say. I always found that kind of cool. But yeah, it's going to be great. And like you said, sports games have really fallen off. I mean, NHL has been the same game since 2014, and they haven't really changed anything. And people have said this, bring back GM Connected for like 20 years, and they still don't bring it back. That would be the one thing that gets me back to NHL. I mean, MLB The Show, it was really cool when they brought it to Xbox. Really cool they got everybody involved. But now it's just like, if you don't
stop making a good game.
Yeah. If you don't get early to the Diamond Dynasty grind, your team's going to fall so far behind. And that's the biggest problem with that. And then 2K, I'm not a basketball fan by any means, but I found it for the 1 year that I bought it in 20, that was really fun. Because you do all the My League things, you can do. And there's actually storylines with your player, like be a player. They don't do that in other sports really. And Yeah, and then but the fact that this is going to be here, I've never been a Madden guy, my whole life really, but I think that this is going to be huge for the sports gaming community. Guys like you and me who just like to play those type of games, and get to make our own storylines.
Yeah, for sure. The immersion, a big deal, a simple aspect, but they don't do it too well in most of them. I'm hopeful that Road to the Show is not a carbon copy of the last 3 years. Since they moved it to Xbox, it's been a really disappointing mode, and I feel like even though before they made that jump to Xbox, the microtransaction online focus was still kind of prevalent, and they still always made it seem like Road to the Show was still one of the focal points of the game every year. And ever since they made the jump to Xbox, it just feels like now they're really cashing in on the throw all the offline modes on the back burner. We added some obscure legends to Diamond Dynasty. Have fun. And they still won't do our cult heroes idea, which is upsetting. But
get ready to play with Ron Santo, everybody.
We just want Lasting's Millage. We don't care what version. Him and Kip Wells.
Bring back Mike Pelfrey right now. No, but I think the biggest problem with Road to the Show, I enjoyed playing Diamond Dynasty. Don't get me wrong. I liked playing online. I like playing those and trying to, but you can tell, I had to turn off playing against PlayStation guys because they were just so much better. Playing, and it was hard to hit. It was hard to do all that. But yeah, the Road to the Show, they don't put any effort into it. It's the same locker room setting you're always in after the game is over. You need to do this to get better at hitting. Or coach says, hey, it's double points for you this weekend when you get a couple of RBIs for us. Stuff like that. But I think college football, having that and having hopefully, I forget what it was on back in the day. I think it was Campus Legend was the name of the Be a Pro, mode. That was always really fun.
Yeah.
But with all the nuances of college football and college sports now added to it, I think that's going to make it a very, very, different ballgame.
For sure. I just hope MLB The Show at least brings back some of the text conversations you could have with your player when they walk up to you in the clubhouse and you could choose based on your personality. They might have had that a year or two ago. I can't remember. I think I didn't buy last year's, but I bought 2 years ago. But I don't know.
NHL, and it was very cut and dry.
Yeah, NHL 14 was the standard of the text-based stuff. 2K did some of the actual cutscene stuff better before it got into the wacky, unrealistic storyline mode. NHL 14 had really fun as text-based ones that helped a little bit. Then they brought it back, and it's score a goal, and you score a goal, and then your coach is like, what the hell, you didn't score a goal, but it's 3 games later and you forget about that conversation. It makes no sense. It shouldn't be that hard. Not for a couple.
You get injured climbing a fence to sign an autograph. That was always my favorite.
I hurt my wrist and I broke my hand or something and lost 4 attribute points on my wrist shot. But anyway,
I found that pretty funny.
Hopefully we didn't lose any attribute points. That's really the only reason I guess you would watch. So hopefully we talked coherently and you enjoyed yourself. I'm Nick. That's Tyler. There he is. Yep. There we go. This is Late Night with Stranded Sports. Thanks for joining us. We're going to be back regularly. I promise. That's my promise to you. Big announcement coming Stranded in Pittsburgh tomorrow night. So you're going to want to stay tuned. Anyway, we'll see you next time.